Welcome to the next episode of the Inside Wayzata podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us. It is Sarah Johansen, who, are you done with board meetings now?
I'm officially done with board meetings. No, I have a Citizens Financial Advisory Council meeting next week, so I've got one more
meeting. Mm-hmm. So Sarah is concluding her 12-year run on the Wayzata School Board, first elected in the fall of 2013 and started your tenure in January of 2014. So how does it feel?
Oh my gosh. It feels a little surreal, and I will admit I'm excited about some of the things that I will be doing. But I also am a little sad, and I know that I will miss the work that I'm doing. And so mixed emotions.
Yeah. Well, let's start off with, after 12 years, what was the biggest factor in your decision not to seek re-election?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of things went into it. But ultimately it came down to, I started my connection with the district as an early learning parent. And so I had a 2-year-old and a new baby, and we had just moved into the district, and I needed some connection. And so I landed at the early learning school, and I quickly enjoyed connecting with adults, which put me on the Parent Advisory Council. And then where I got to do some advocacy around early childhood education and funding. And also I got to meet all of the district leaders, and I loved it, and I was hooked. Mm-hmm. And then a couple of board members tapped me on the shoulder to run. And so I did. And then that's when I was elected. And so starting an ECFE and then serving 12 years on the school board, that in many ways parallels the experience that each of our students have with early childhood. And so it felt like a good time. Our district's in an exciting new chapter, or on the cusp of an exciting new chapter. And so it just felt like a good time to pass the baton and look to other people who are equally as committed and excited about serving our district.
How much convincing did it take to get you to run, to go from this is interesting, I like being a part of this community, to now I'm running for an elected position? What was that process like?
Yeah, that's fun. In all honesty, at first it didn't take much, right? So there are a couple board members that I was working with on the Legislative Action Committee, and they said, hey, have you ever thought about running for school board? And in my mind, I was like, wait, I get to then work with these people every day or, on a regular basis and support this district and connect with students. Like, sure, I'll do it. And then it was probably when I went home and told my husband what I had just committed to, and then started thinking about a campaign, that there were certainly some times where I was like, what am I getting myself into? But it felt like a really great fit from the minute I was, I didn't expect to be tapped on the shoulder, but then the moment it was introduced to me, I was like, oh yeah, I think I could do that.
Yeah. So. What is one thing, knowing what you know now, that you wish you had known on your very first day on the school board? It might be hard to narrow it to one thing.
No, I don't think so. I think it's one thing to know is no decision is easy, right? There are things that you think, oh, that's really clear, or that's really evident. And then if you just take a minute, and I'm doing a lot of thinking about how to be more curious in the work that I do and in life in general, nothing is easy. And I'll give you an example. So actually my first day, the board is supposed to assume their seat on the first Monday in January. And on the first Monday in January in 2014, which was January 5th, 2014, Minnesota was in the midst of historical cold. So the governor called the cold day. So my family likes to joke that my first day on the school board, we didn't have any school. But at the time, it felt like an easy decision. Like, oh, great, the governor has called school off. Everyone's staying home. We're all safe. This feels great. Well, no decision is easy. And one, we had more cold days, and it was soon clear that we couldn't close school every time we had cold days. And so And so through it all, I think one of the things that's helped me on the school board as well as in life is just reminding myself to pause and to think about everything that might go into a decision that maybe on the surface looks pretty cut and dry. It's probably not.
That's good. Okay, so thinking about the district in general, we had Dr. Anderson on a few weeks ago, and he kind of illustrated how much the district has grown and changed since he's been here. And, I think he has been here for 17, going on 18 years. So you're not too far behind him in your time on the board. How have you seen the needs of students and families and teachers change over the past 12 years?
Yeah. Oh, so much, right? From where our students are going to school and what those buildings look like, right? And we'll probably talk about facilities at a different time. But also what our world looks like. And I think about specifically, as I started on the board, we were talking a lot about one-to-one devices and it was called My Way at the time. And that felt like a really big deal. But a lot of the conversation was like, well, it'll reduce the number of textbooks that are in their backpack because we were talking about middle schoolers and high schoolers' shoulders that were so heavy. Right. And then, to think about from that moment when what is this iPad thing that we're going to be giving? And of course, to reduce the textbooks to where we are now and how that allowed us to continue our learning through the pandemic, but then also how much we've learned. It might sound cliche to reference technology, but it's really striking to think about the journey of our district over my 12 years of service. Yeah,
it kind of feels like a microcosm of society, right? Like there's been this shift. And, I was having a conversation with someone the other day about whether it was in high school or in college, like going to buy textbooks. And like the thought of explaining that to someone at like the high school right now, they'd be like, what? You had to go buy books? It's just crazy. And that's only 12 years, right?
Yeah.
So obviously the district has grown a lot, and with that has come a lot of different budget situations. So what was your approach, I guess, for balancing the district's budget and resources, all while ensuring a quality education? What did that look like from your perspective on the board?
Yeah. Students have to stay centered, right? Yeah. I mean, and if we talk about how have things changed, to go back to that question, I think I remember talking about a district budget of $100 million, right? And now I think in the audit, we're up to $250 million or something like that, right? I mean, it's just remarkable to think about. And although our budget has grown a lot over that time, and although we went through this cost containment process, which I think is what the question is about, the challenges around balancing the budget have been ever present in my board work. And I think every year that I was on the board, that I engaged in a budgeting process, we were really thinking about efficiency and how to maximize our resources. And at that core is keep it out of the classroom and do what you can to protect the student experience, which then subsequently protects the family experience. And then also, as our staff and teachers make up 80% of our budget roughly, and benefits and salaries, really finding a way to insulate that. Yeah. Sometimes we had low-hanging fruit or things that we could do to be efficient, which might be good. But the cost containment that we went through a couple of years ago, because of our growing enrollment, we hadn't felt that in a district in decades, and we really didn't have any institutional knowledge about how to navigate that. Yeah. And it was really hard. I think we kept it away from classrooms as much as possible. I know our sizes have gone up a bit, and we need to get back to that. Mm-hmm. But we've also been, as we always are in Wayzata, really creative in finding ways to ensure that the student experience stays at the center, and that our students, as they go to school each day, are really having the best experience that they can.
Yeah. you mentioned some like cost containment, some of these budget situations. There's obviously been a handful of, we'll call it like major events that have happened, and hopefully these aren't too like triggering. But related to cost containment was the pandemic. We've had, as I was thinking about this, we've multiple bond referendums, school start time changes. What is there any way you can kind of encapsulate what it was like to be on the school board through some of those major events, or what that was like? And
Yeah. Oh, so here's a really good one. There's a number of stories in this process. So school start times was a huge transition for our district. It was not a new idea. We had community members asking for that change for years, arguably almost a decade. And there came a point where it made sense to implement or to really dig into that. And so we did. I was relatively new on the school board at the time, and I had elementary students. So we were very much in the front end of, switching that 9 or 9:30 start time to the 7:30. And one wintry day, kind of like today, I was driving my girls to elementary school, and sitting on the corner was a yard sign, and it had a big school bus that was splashing ice and mud into the face of young children waiting for the bus. And it said, "What school board member thought this was a good idea?" ? And my girls, in the most innocence of second and first grade, looked at me and they said, "Mommy, is this you?" And I said, yes, this is me. And it is never a good idea to have children in the dark being splashed by a school bus, but there's certainly more to this story. And I think that is one of the number one jobs of a board member, really, is to listen to the level of concern that's coming from any decision. And that was a really real concern. And dark bus stops is a real valid issue. And listen to that and seek to understand it, and then work to tell the story of the learning and the research and the decision-making processes that we've engaged in, to share why we think it's the best decision for that moment. Of course, no decision is easy, and all decisions have tails and headwinds and tailwinds. So then that became the journey, is to really work to educate our community and in that moment, my daughters, about why, despite what it may look like, it really was a good idea.
What about the pandemic?
Oh, gosh.
I know we've all it seems like it was 50 years ago, and it was, 4 or 5 years ago, but what was that like? It was awful. Yeah. And it was uplifting. And we're still feeling the impacts of it, right? Yeah. So, some things that stand out for the pandemic, telling my students and the students' friends. My daughter had a bunch of friends over working on a project, like in the day or in the lead up to the decision to close schools, right? And so, and as a parent watching my kids in that journey was really hard, and I knew that we probably had some strengths that maybe some other families didn't, and we certainly also had our share of challenges, and so that was really hard. There are lots of reasons why we say it's important for kids to come to school, and to not come to school was probably one of the worst decisions that any public school or private school or educator can make. And at the same time, one of my favorite moments from the pandemic was when I was able to volunteer with the Thanksgiving food giveaway in our space on Highway 55. And I was gifted the opportunity to smile at parents and pass along turkeys and tofurkeys and all that we gave away or shared with our community. I also really enjoyed the times that as a board, we sent messages to our teachers and to our community and found the different ways to connect with them. I was worried about mental health and youth mental health before the pandemic. I was
gravely concerned during and after the pandemic, and I'm uplifted in seeing the results that just came out yesterday of the new Minnesota Students Survey that says we're working on recovery and we are healing, and that's an ongoing journey.
Yeah. Well, let's shift away from all the fun things you got to experience a little bit. As we talk about a school board, in your words, like, what is the job? What is the role of a school board?
Yeah. The school board exists to create the conditions so that everyone connected to the school community, and that includes our students, that includes our teachers, that includes our administrators, that includes our staff, and that includes our families, can do the best work that they can do. So governance is really around ensuring that each one of those pieces are in place, hiring amazing educators or supporting the hiring of amazing educators that can go teach the students, creating the spaces for students to come in to learn, and setting high expectations for that achievement, building community and listening and engaging so that families feel a sense of pride in the work that is being done in the district, and that families are connected and engaged, and then supporting all of that happening together. We have to balance a budget. We have to have buildings, and then forward thinking. It's the job of the board to not only do really quality work in the moment, but then to do everything that we can to ensure that future boards will see the same, if not a higher level of success that we did based on some of the decisions that we made.
Yeah. What advice would you give to, we have one new incoming board member. So if they ask, what's some advice you could give to me for, or anyone that's considering running for the board in the future, what would you tell them?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. May the force be with you. No, in all seriousness, I think one, keep being curious. There's a lot of pressure as a board member, and you think that you have to know all the answers and you have to speak on something and speak intelligently. And it's true. You do want to speak on issues and you want to speak intelligently. That means you need to do your homework. Just like our students, you need to do your homework. You need to understand. But your homework is intensified as our student learning is intensified when we're curious, and thinking about how to look at an issue from acknowledge where our original framework is and where we understand, but then try to think about what are the different perspectives that other people might hold, and what are the different impacts. Because sometimes what surfaces first as an impact or as an outcome for a decision might not be, it might be a thing, but it might not be the thing that really you should be thinking about moving forward, or continuing. Yeah. So, and then trust the wisdom of your community. The other thing is that although you are elected and you just spent this entire campaign season talking about yourself and all the things that you're going to do, understand that when you come into the board, you are one of 7 and you're joining a staffing team of about 1,800 people in a community of, 70,000+ residents and 28,000+ parents. So you're not alone. You're a team member, and trust the wisdom around you.
I want to dig into the curiosity piece a little bit. I think that's such a great word. Were there moments, even, now you're a veteran of the school board, right?
Yeah.
Were there still moments when you would encounter things and you're like, well, I've never seen that before. I have no idea what that is. Like, how do you continue to have that mindset of learning and curiosity even when you're the most tenured person on the board, right?
Yeah. Well, and these last 2 years have been a journey, and I think maybe highlight that a little bit. We had, in the first 10 years of my board experience, we had pretty consistent board members who had been on a while, and we were really, really humming as a board, and I am so proud, and I loved that. The work that we did in that moment. And it's been fun over the last 2 years as our board has changed over. I served as the board member with with more experience than all of my colleagues added together. And so then naturally there were new perspectives and new questions and new things to be curious about. And so we are a continuous, I've said this a lot in my tenure, we're a continuous learning. We are an educational institution that promotes lifelong learning. And it's important in all that we do to continue to hold that and to model that and to practice that.
You mentioned it a little bit. There's about 28,000 parents, guardians in the district, but it's a community of 70,000+. So over half of your, I guess, constituents are non-family members in the community.
Yeah.
How important is community engagement because of that?
It's foundational. And I think about who are those 70,000 people, right? Like maybe they are people who grew up here that loved it and wanted to stay. Maybe they're families that chose Wayzata, as my family did, because we thought that it was the best school in Minnesota and that's where we wanted to raise our children and raise our families. Maybe it's people that came because they work in this area or they wanted to connect. Everyone is in this community because they want to be here. And our roadmap calls out that we need excellent relationships and partnership and trust. And I think at the core of what we do as a board, we need to make sure that our decision making is working to foster trust and partnership with the community. One of my favorite things in the world when we travel is looking out for the people that are wearing Wayzata gear. And so many times I've seen people on airplanes or even in different countries that were connected to Wayzata. And I just have such a sense of pride to see our community members and to connect with them both in the district and outside.
As you think about the future, even though, you're going to be not on the board anymore, what do you think is the single most important long-term challenge the district is facing, and how do you see the board's role in facilitating and helping the district through that?
Yeah. One of the first years that I was on the board, or when I came onto the board had just engaged in a reading of From Good to Great, right? And then there's a subsequent book that talks about how the mighty fall. And we are an excellent district, and we work every day to equip each and every student for success in an ever-changing global society. That work of equipping each and every student for success in an ever-changing global society is our long-term challenge. Keeping up with the skills and the things that our students need to thrive, not just professionally or academically, but as humans and as community members. And then doing that in a way, too, that holds true to the tradition that is Wayzata, which is really our commitment to we're here from you and creating a strong sense of belonging that values each and every student. That takes a lot of work. We are not excellent. You don't hit excellent and then coast. And in fact, that work and diligence to make sure that you're doing that takes a lot of nurturing. And I think, again, takes a lot of curiosity and listening as to what needs to happen.
I think of the word adaptability a lot. We recorded a podcast with a couple of high school students and Scott Torter for CT, and to hear them talk about the different classes and offerings they have and how they need to adapt to what's changing out there. That feels like that's at the core of everything we do. So I think that's a really great word to think about, whether it's a school board or the district in general.
Yeah, I'll add to that. You may know that I'm also fortunate to work in this community. And I love my day job and what I do, but we talk a lot about agility, and that is one of our 4 core values is being agile. And there's a lot happening in our world right now. And I was at my desk just the other day, and I was talking to a colleague, and I was like, well, I'm trying to be agile right now, but it's not easy, right? I mean, and that agility is so important. And I think it sits at the core of each and every, but it takes work, and it takes risk taking, and it takes perseverance.
So you live here, you work here. What else do you see for you as you transition off of the board?
Yeah. I will always be a number one, not a number one, right? I will always join our community in being an advocate and a cheerleader for Wayzata. I love this district. I'm beyond grateful for our incredible teachers and staff members and families. My children have 2 have graduated, and one is loving his experience. And so as a parent, I'm excited to lean into that. And I want to do what I can to support our district and ensure that it's strong. I have my sights set on this spring and the exciting opportunities that we have for facilities. But I hope that as I move forward, there will be just that new things will come up where I can support and be helpful in whatever way I can.
What are you most proud of over your 12 years on the board?
Oh gosh. What am I most proud of? I'm proud of our students. I'm proud of, the thousands. What is it? Like 750 to 1,000 graduates that we saw each year. And then the 750 to 1,200 kindergarteners that we welcomed, right? And so I am so proud of the work that we had done with the students. I do love the work that we did with start times and with some of the facilities to ensure that each and every student has a quality experience. And I'm proud of what we were able to do to continuously support our staff and our administrators through what were some pretty difficult and trying times.
What is, if you could think of one final message you'd share with students, teachers, families of the district, what would you leave them with in this official capacity?
Oh my gosh. This is where the excitement and then the sadness comes in. I have a lot of gratitude for trusting me, for placing trust in me. I was elected 3 times. 2 of those times were pretty wild elections, and then one we were able to do to support our operating referendum. And so just a lot of gratitude for placing trust in me over the 12 years. I'm grateful for all of the people that I worked with, our administrators and our teachers and our students, for teaching me things, and for calling me out when I needed to learn more, but then also for partnering with me and jumping in. Wayzata is amazing, and I will tell everyone I know just how amazing Wayzata is, and I'm just so grateful to have had this chapter with this community.
Having known you, I think it's, being on the board for 12 years, and knowing you've had kids go through the system, and now in college and on the other side, right? How does it feel knowing that the decisions you made during that tenure directly impacted your family's educational experience?
Yeah. So this was a hot topic at my house throughout the course of, and it is true, right? Like really my kiddos sort of went through it all. And I always operated in the perspective that I didn't want my children to either have any additional benefits or negative impacts from their experience. And that was actually a perspective that Dr. Anderson had shared with me. But throughout, right, we would have different things. There was a time when the the lunchroom was serving, funnel cake or something for lunch, which felt problematic for me. And after my kids came home and said they had funnel cake, and I said, and I hope that you will never have funnel cake again. And they were like, Mom, you're not going to take away the funnel cakes, are you? And I said, well, I'm not taking away the funnel cakes for you, but I'm hoping that we can feed our kids something a little healthier than funnel cakes. So my kiddos would, and my children, I am really proud of the experience that they have. And I do see my girls have launched into college, and they were so prepared as academics, as humans, as friends. But I do hope that the decisions that I made were made in really good faith and with a deep consideration for not my kids, but for students that maybe have similar or maybe very different experiences in Wayzata. And each one of them, I hope that each one of my decisions really worked to guarantee excellence for all students. Yeah.
Well, the last question, what are you going to do on Monday nights now?
Right.
Oh, hold on. Are you going to watch the first board meeting in January, whatever it is? Are you going to tune in and watch the meeting?
Of course. I will tune in, and I will be clapping at home when we do the recognitions. So for sure. I do also have high hopes for other things. I have a very long book list of some fictional books, right? Or just some things that are not education related that I look forward to reading. I've connected with some friends about learning to play mahjong. So that's a new hobby that I hope to pick up. And then who knows?
Explore some community ed classes, maybe.
Right. Yep. Yes. Explore some community ed classes, continue to learn. Hopefully this summer be out on the boat a little bit more. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm curious about what comes next.
Maybe someday you'll be able to tune out and not tune into the live stream and take a Monday night and relax.
In full disclosure, I probably won't watch every meeting.
It's probably good. Well, I think I speak for a lot of people. Thank you for your dedication to the district and your service. And we wish you all the best as you move into this next chapter, and also know you're not going far. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor. Thanks.